Hello, welcome to my thought for the day. Today I'm looking at some very strong verses in Isaiah chapter 5. There are lots of warnings in scripture, lots of instruction, lots of clear words, and we do well to heed them. So in Isaiah chapter 5 verse 20 it says this: Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for light and light for darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and shrewd in their own insight. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine and valiant men in mixing strong drink, who acquit the guilty for a bribe and deprive the innocent of his right. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. This is such a clear message here. But the question we have to ask is, how do we know what is good and what is evil? And the answer to that is not what our country's laws say are good and evil, because our country's laws are constantly changing according to the culture of the time. There are a lot of things that have changed in my lifetime, huge numbers of things that have changed. The definition of marriage, for example, has changed. The biblical definition of marriage is a lifelong relationship between one man and one woman. But modern culture has changed that definition to mean something else. And they are calling, those who agree with that change are calling evil good, because the Bible defines marriage between one man and one woman as good, and any other relationship as bad. So the relationship between two people that is casual, one-night stands, holiday romances, all that sort of thing, God calls those evil, promiscuous, adulterous if you're married to someone else, or fornication if you're not married to someone. Any sexual relationship outside of the marriage union between one man and one woman is defined in Scripture as evil, but our society has called it good. So I just have to say to you, my dear friends, if you find I've been arrested and put into prison for saying this on YouTube, then that's so be it. I'm not going to change what Scripture says to suit modern society. Another thing is witchcraft. Witchcraft in Scripture and all things occult, all means of contacting the dead, telling the future, foretelling the future, any kind of attempt to contact spirits, any attempt to contact, dead people, to any worship of the devil, any kind of occult things, reading of palms, having your fortune told, looking in the glass, the signs of the zodiac, all those sorts of things, reading of handwriting, any means that's been used to try to find out things about the future. We're not meant to be pursuing any of those things. Deuteronomy 18, 10 to 12 is quite clear. Galatians 5:20, quite clear that these things are evil. But the laws of certainly of the land in which I live were changed and have been changed to make it perfectly okay for people to practice witchcraft without any punishment. They have called evil good. We need to be careful that we call good what God says is good, and evil what he says is evil, and not change our minds according to the climate of the time. There's another thing that's changed during my lifetime, and that is the way we treat our children. There is a verse which everyone tries, all the commentators try to be very clever about it and try to say, well, it doesn't really say what it says, you know, and they say it doesn't really say that about disciplining children. Proverbs 22:15 says, spare the rod and spoil the child. And we now have laws against hitting children. Now, I'm not advocating beating them, you know, but a wooden spoon across the buttocks never did any child any harm. And whether you like it or not, and you probably hate me for it, but I only ever smacked my daughters once. After that, the threat of the wooden spoon was enough to bring discipline. But Hebrews 12 verse 7 tells us that God disciplines us and says, you've had human fathers who disciplined you and you respected them for it. Our society says that any kind of physical activity against a child is evil. Well, they're calling good evil. It is good to discipline a child. Not to be overbearing. The scriptures are very clear. In the letters of Paul and everywhere else, it is all about correction, not domination, not beating the life out of a child, nothing like that. But we have a generation now that is a result of another generation that has never known any discipline, and many of our children do not know discipline. They do not respect authority. They do not respect their teachers. Their parents don't respect the teachers. They don't respect law. They don't respect anything. And evil has been produced as a result of disregarding the advice that God gives us, the instruction that God gives us as to how we should raise our children. And the scriptures tell us quite clearly that parents should teach their children about God and about Jesus. That in the Jewish faith, the child would be taught at Passover and taught every week on the Sabbath night. They would be taught why they observe the Sabbath, taught the things of God while they're small, train up a child while he is young, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. But our society says, no, parents shouldn't teach their children. No, it's the schools that should teach their children, and they should teach them absolutely everything and leave it up to them to make a choice. Well, that's not how the scriptures see our responsibility towards our children. It's the parents' responsibility to teach a child the way that he should go, not the teachers at school. It's in the home. That's where it all starts. So this is the scripture that I'm taking. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. There are those who say it's wonderful when you have a celebration of something really amazing that's happened in your life. Maybe you've graduated from college, maybe you've got engaged, and what do? They immediately throw a party and drink as much alcohol as they possibly can. Well, there's this verse 22 here. Woe to those who are heroes at drinking wine and valiant men in mixing strong drink. In overindulging in alcohol is not good, but there are many in our society who see the only way of celebration as being drinking alcohol to excess. It's the same with food. We're allowed the occasional feast. Jesus talked about feasting and celebrating, and we've got a great feast in heaven to look forward to, but we shouldn't feast all the time. It's not good for us. And the scriptures are clear about gluttony and about overindulgence. So I hope I've sparked in your mind some thoughts about things that the society we live in calls good, that God calls evil, and some things that the Bible calls good, that our society calls evil. We may need to be careful to live by and uphold the practices and the teaching of Scripture. It's unchanging. The teaching of Scripture is unchanging, and we should cling to it with everything that we have, whatever it might cost us. God bless you. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.